Hello. Thank you for listening to and watching Youhadoptions. This episode I have Dan Levy from the band In the Meantime. Good chat with him. Talk about everything. I don't know where to begin. Yeah, great guy. Check out. They've got a new record out called Adolescent Purgatory. Sorry, I forgot the name. Check it out wherever you listen to music. Check them out online. IT Meantime on Instagram. He plugs everything towards the end of this episode. I'm sure I'm forgetting something. They're playing Pooza Fest in May. Check them out. Make sure you follow youhadoptions at youhadoptions on Instagram. Go and subscribe on the YouTube channel. You can go buy some merch at thehandsomescoundrels.com/shop. There's a You Had Options shirt on there. Maybe I'll get a new design. I don't know. But yeah, thanks for listening. Dan, hello. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, man, this is cool, and thanks for inviting me. And I'm pumped. Honestly, I'm a podcast guy, so
hell yeah,
getting to participate is something I'm excited for.
Fuck yeah! What podcast? What are you listening to now? What's your go-to podcast?
Podcasts, dude, like I'm such a nerd. Like I've got like 3 astronomy podcasts. Let's see, one about all the presidents. I've got, I'm in the car a lot in the winter. In the summer, I work outside all day. But in the winter, like my off season, a lot of times I'm just like delivering food or like making runs for people, traveling. So I'm in there a lot. So like, and I'm a super nerd, dude. Like I just love getting deep. Like I listen to these 2 Canadian dudes talk about like telescope eyepieces and stuff. Like it's like I've got time on my hands, so I get deep into it. I deep dove into your podcast because dude. Like, well, what's funny is sorry, my cat might join us. Both of my cats might join us here and there. But this is Marlon Brando.
Okay.
So say hello.
Hello.
Yeah, dude. Like I used to see I'd see You Had Options on Instagram and stuff, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, like a podcast for like our scene, like that's cool that somebody's doing that, but I didn't know it was you. And like cool. Little by little, it kind of dawned on me, and then like just about the time that I kind of put it all together, you hit me up to do it like 2 days later. So I was like, oh, awesome.
Cool.
And then like I asked you like, oh, do you need me to prep anything on my end? Or like, should I be, and you were like, nah. But I'm like, dude, like the way I am is like, I can't help myself, like I want to do something as good as I can possibly do it, or maybe I've sabotaged that by prepping. But like, I was like, oh, I want to see the vibe. I want to see like what he does. So like, I think over the last 48 hours, I listened to like 7 or 8 episodes.
Hell yeah.
I actually watched them on YouTube.
Hell yeah, man.
And I realized I had a bunch of friends who have been on it. And it's like, these motherfuckers aren't promoing for you, dude. Because like, I should know that DM's been on your podcast. You should be telling, like, if anybody's going to see it, I should be seeing it. It's like, I'm going to spread the word, man. You had options.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I just like talking to people. It's been a cool way to like, I've just cold messaged a whole bunch of people, and I've been lucky enough to get some cool people on.
Yeah, dude. And like, I kind of got, I kind of just by checking out different ones, got like different periods of time and like seeing how it's evolved. And it's really cool what you're doing. Thanks, and it's, if I understand correctly, it seems like it was kind of, you know, inspired by the pandemic. But like here we are, not that the pandemic's done, but like you're still doing it and you can see like the progression. It's cool.
Thanks, man. That means a lot. Yeah, because it's like, you know, when you're doing stuff and, you know, especially like being in a band or doing anything creative, it's just like, why am I doing? Like sometimes you're just like, just sending it out into the void, into nothing, and, you know, see if somebody, you know, hears it.
It's a combination of like, why am I doing this? Yeah. And of course, this is why I'm doing this, and I can never do anything else. Right. It's like the two totally opposite feelings tugging at you at the same time. But that's great, man. And like what you're doing is something I think is good for a scene like ours. Like, dude, you're doing like a super niche podcast, but like, you know, I was talking to Steve, the other, you know, guy. I think you met him, and in the meantime, when we did the show together. And we're always talking about stuff like that, like what's going on in the scene and bands and music and, you know, from our DIY standpoint. And there's all these people in the scene, like whether it's people in bands or people like feed the scene where it's like they're not playing music, but like what they do is contributing to it. And like photographers and promoters and all these people that like some of them are also in bands, but some of them like they're not even playing. And I said to Steve one time, I'm like, dude, like doing this band stuff, like, we're kind of just like insane people. Like, you know, like we sacrifice so much and like you try to do so much and you go so long without getting the payoff. And then you get like the payoff that makes you want to keep doing it. Yeah. And then I'm like, you look at someone like Rachel and Kaylee and the other people that feed the scene. It's like they give so much and they're always like working so hard on so many things. And they're not even playing. Like, why are they so nice to us? Like, why are they doing this for us? And he's like, yeah, but like for them, like, that's their way of like being part of the scene and participating in it, and that's their contribution. And like I think what you're doing with this podcast fits right into that, where it's like this is something that lets people in the scene kind of, you know, I've heard of like some of the people from bands you had on, like I've heard of the bands, but then I watched the episode and I'm like, oh cool, like all right, now I got an idea of this guy and what their band's about, what they're up to. Yeah. Like you know, I watched the episode you did with Tony from Fest, and it's like getting all that wrestling talk, dude. Like, I'm not a wrestling fan, but that was fascinating to me. Like, that their scene and seeing sides of these people that I don't know just from my interactions with them. So, you know, this is going to be the I love your podcast hour with Dan Levy.
Hey, man, I love it.
But I just, you know, I just want to show my appreciation. I think what you're doing is important, and it's cool.
Thanks. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, because it's like you were saying, it's like sometimes you're just like, why do you do this? And it's like, for this, there's like, I'm not spending a lot of, it's not like doing like band stuff where like you could lose a shit ton of money or anything like that. So
could lose, right?
Yeah.
Could lose money?
Right. Oh, yeah. When you are losing money.
Doing a lot of heavy lifting there, Mike.
I know. You know, people who aren't in bands, they don't know what the, you're just eating shit all the time and losing money all the time, just dumping money. But yeah, like you said, yeah, you get that like one good show or whatever, or somebody reaches out, says your album's cool or whatever, and it's a little jolt of like, okay, I guess I'll keep doing it.
Yeah, there's all these different little payoffs, and like, believe it or not, what I'm starting to try to do, and I know this is insane, you'll probably be able to relate to this being another person in the performing arts, I am trying to finally get my payoffs from myself. Imagine that, you know, like being proud of something I did without having to wait for everyone else to also, you know, and I think that a lot of people, you know, I'll speak to myself for sure, you know, maybe more so when I was younger, but like so much of what I do and was doing, as much as I love it, it's like you take all these risks that people don't understand. Yeah. And they're kind of almost like trying to let you know nicely that what you're doing might not be the best idea. And it's like when you get a payoff or a success, it's like almost like you're getting that validation of like, no, this is worth it. Like there is like I'm making a lot of sacrifices, but it's because of this. And now I'm just trying to get that for myself without needing to like prove to other people that what I'm doing is worthwhile, you know?
Yeah, that's definitely something I struggle with, and it's tough to be like, hey man, that is a cool thing you did, you know. For me, especially, it's
Yeah. Yeah, well, you know, a lot more therapy and maybe I'll get there, you know.
Yeah, man. Oh shit. But yeah, the you have long hair now. I think last time I saw you at Fest, you might have had long hair, but this is
You do too, my
I
friend.
know. This is pandemic. This is also pandemic inspired.
Yeah, awesome. So I know that we did the show in Hong Kong, in Cambridge.
Right.
And then I remember running into you guys at Fest. Was that at Dirty Nelly's?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, do you remember if that was 2018 or 2019?
That had to.
Was it the most the pre-pandemic fest or like back?
It had to have been 2019.
Okay, yeah. So I think some of this hair is the same hair. But at that point, it was like, oh, I've got long hair because I used to just always be a short hair guy.
Me too, yeah.
You know, I'm 37. So I'm just like pumped to have my hair.
Right.
And it became, you know, I was kind of like, it was growing out a little bit long as it was. And then it was like the pandemic. So I'm like, oh, I'll like hold off on haircuts. Then it was long enough where I'm like, you know what? I've never like had long hair in my life. And like, this is the time to do it.
Yeah.
And I probably won't do it again.
Yeah.
And now it's like, because I know I won't do it again, there's such a finality in cutting it where it's like, from here on, it's always going to be less hair, not more hair, you know?
Yeah. Damn, dude.
But,
that's deep.
So, I don't know. Heavy. We'll see where it goes, but it's fun rocking out with it.
Yeah. Oh, man.
So, have you guys got to play at all? Like,
yeah, we've played a couple of shows towards the end of last year. Yeah, it was cool. You know, it's
you get to rock out with the hair or what?
Yeah, I got in my face.
Working it?
Yeah, oh yeah, you got to, man.
Yeah,
it's like yeah,
you have to.
Yeah, but have you guys been able to get back to playing shows since pandemic stuff?
Well, it's been quite the road for us. We did finally, let's see, when was that? End of February, we did our first show. During the pandemic, we did a release, but we'd been sitting on this EP for a while, Adolescent Purgatory.
Yeah.
And we did it. We were kind of hoping that like maybe a label would want to get involved. I mean, we're an unsigned band, no booking agent.
Yeah.
You know, we're down to tour, you know, like we like touring. We'll do the DIY tours, but we're down to do more. But you can DIY book a lot, but there is a ceiling on what you can do. So we were kind of like, you know, we've got our lineup set, like everybody's available. We've got this new release. Maybe like we can, being willing to tour, maybe we can get someone to pick it up. And like, you know, we kind of sat on it for a little bit, and then we kind of had a timeline of like, you know, if nothing percolates by X, we'll release it. And then there was the pandemic. So it was like, okay, nobody is going to pick up a new band now. And also like, do we even want to do this release? We didn't have the crystal ball to know how long this would last. So the release, like, it was a real long time before we finally did it. And we were like, you know what? Like, let's just release it and we'll do like a live stream release show.
Okay.
And we did. And I got to give Steve credit because we did live.
Right.
Not pre-recorded, broadcast on, you know, like we used a hotspot on a phone, like with the upload bandwidth, dude. And it worked. It worked. Yeah. And I did not think it was gonna, you know, I was like, dude, like, I know how cool it will be. Cause he wanted to have like interaction. Like, you know, we did it on Facebook Live or Watch or whatever. And people could like write to us. And like, he had the idea. He was like, this is how I want it to be. And I'll never say like no to something, but I'm like, dude, I'm really not sure we can pull this off. And it was like a 3-week timeline too.
Yeah.
And we had like a buddy come in to run like the AV. We did it outdoors. So like, cause at that time we still were pretty, dude, every time we practiced, dragged everything out into the parking lot, set up the PA. Like we were committed to it because we were like, you know what? Like this is our release. This is all we're getting. So we did that release. That was November 2020. And it worked, man, because Steve we complement each other in the way the band functions. And he's the guy that's like, within reason, if he has an idea and it sounds kind of crazy, like he makes it happen. He gets things done. He's a go-getter.
Yeah.
And it's great to have someone like that. And we did it and it worked. And that was November 2020. And we lined it up with like a Bandcamp Friday and sold record bundles and stuff. And we did pretty well with it. And it was pre-sale and the records were coming in April 2021. I think we received the records on April 16th and our drummer passed away on April 9th.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Damn, I'm sorry, man.
Thanks, man. Like, yeah, like a lot of people have been really supportive and there was a lot of like people reaching out and it means a lot. So if anybody listening to this, reached out or supported us, we appreciate it. But it was tough, dude. Like, we're so excited for the release and like, he never got to see it on vinyl, like we were all talking about them showing up like a few days before everything happened. So it's like drummer passes, records show up and we're just like,
damn,
what do we do, dude?
Yeah.
Like, what do we do, And, dude, like, what we didn't know at the time, so our buddy who did the audio for the record release, he took it all to the board and, like, recorded everything, audio and video, and he's, like, an engineer, and he mixed the stuff and whatever. So when we did the live show, we played the whole record, which is, like, an 11-minute EP. Like, it's punk rock, dude. Like, there's 7 tracks, 11 minutes or something, like, and then we also played everything that was on our previous EP that we have, like, it's out of print. Like, we did CDs, we sold through them all. That one's Banana Split. It was a split with another band.
Okay.
And we played that all as part of the live stream to, like, do the whole show. And our buddy who helped with the live stream, he had recorded all that, mixed it, made it sound really nice. And as, like, an Easter egg, without even labeling it, we stuck it on the back of the record. And that's, so the vinyls have like the real record on one side and this like unmarked full live versions of all the other songs on the back. And that's got Gabe's, literally his final performances.
Oh, wow.
So we've got him playing drums in the band and singing like on the vinyl.
Damn.
So that was really special for us because it was like, man, like, because he didn't record on the record.
Oh, okay.
That was a weird timing, like, because I said we sat on that for a while. Like, the last thing our previous drummer did with us was record that record. But Gabe had been touring with us for like 3 years. By the time it was physical,
damn,
he was in the band. He wasn't with us for 6 months or whatever. Like, he was the guy.
Right.
So it was really tough. And then we had to decide, like, what are we gonna do? The first step was like we just had to get on Zoom together and just like mourn. Like we couldn't get together really. Like we weren't even thinking about the records or what were or shows or whatever. We're just like fuck, So we did that. Then we got together in person as the weather warmed up at my place outside, and like, what are we doing? And
damn,
it was very, very. Like, nobody had a doubt that, like, dude, like, this guy, Gabe, like, he struggled. He was a heroin addict, and he struggled, but he was so passionate about music. And, like, unfortunately, I've got a lot of experience with, people addicted to opioids, and it's a big problem up here in New England. I guess everywhere now, but, he's not the first friend I've lost, and I've got a lot of experience with addicts, and like being in a band with an addict is something a touring band at that is something I never thought would be possible because like generally these aren't reliable people, but like never met a more positive dopehead in my whole life. Like the kid was like struggling with heroin addiction and he was always pleasant. Like nobody's got a bad story about him. Like I don't understand how the kid could be so upbeat, like just based on the life of an addict. And, and he worked his ass off. Like, I think that was his other addiction. Like he just, he worked outside as well. So me and him would kind of bond on that stuff, like work war stories. And he worked his ass up and all he wanted to do was play drums. He loved punk rock. He was very, very talented. He did solo stuff. And he was down to tour and he was just like so all about it. And like loving and positive and loved the scene. And we were like, dude, like, if we ended this band because Gabe died, like, he'd come back and haunt us and fucking, he'd be furious.
Yeah.
Like, he would want to, like, what he would want us to do is just, like, you guys better do everything you absolutely can with this band and play as much music as you possibly can. And, like, you guys, like, need to keep going. And that's not a convenient interpretation on our part. Like, there's no doubt that that's what he'd want.
Yeah.
That's what we did. And then, you know, I guess, luckily, silver lining, like, there were still not really shows. So we had some time to kind of figure out how we wanted to proceed. And we got a bud from Brooklyn, like, from Brooklyn, not, like, moved to Brooklyn, like, Salvatore Mamana from Sheepshead Bay, like, you know, and he was up here in Boston going to Berklee College of Music, and 20 years ago. And me and Steve were there, and we met this kid, Sal, who was, like, one of the only other punk kids at Berklee. And he played in a band with Steve for a long time, and he's filled in on some In the Meantime tours and stuff. So we were jamming with him for a while. And then our bass player is a Worcester guy who used to play in, like, Smart Bomb and Far From Finished, if you've ever heard of any of those bands. And he had a tight dude friend that he played with, who he's a great drummer who played in all sorts of stuff. And so we were jamming with those two guys, basically, and just kind of, like, writing new music and getting a feel for each other and, like, trying to navigate figuring out who the drummer's going to be with two close friends and not bumming anybody out. And it's most important to us to maintain the friendships. It's been point of the story is, Michael, it's been very, very confusing and a long road, and we're just trying mostly to like do what we can for the band and not be dicks and, like, make sure everybody, you know, feels like it's a good problem to have, dude. Like, we have two great options for drums that we've been talking to, and, like, we just want to kind of keep everyone in the loop, and we've been trying to navigate this road, and it's kind of starting to shake out, and it's good timing because we've got some stuff coming up. So we played a show with Sal at the end of February, and it was really emotional, dude. Like, it was the first thing we did since Gabe passed, and, you know, it was emotional for everybody, dude. Everything that everybody's been through, like, in the scene. And, you know, I mean, at one point it was like, is there even gonna be still the scene? Like, will it run out of gas with the pause? You know, I don't know if you were feeling any of that, but, like, people seemed excited about live streams, and then those kind of trailed off. And it's like, not that people don't care, but, like, with that big of a break, like, who knows if it'll ever come back, you know?
Yeah.
So it was just a big deal, you know, like, to be out there doing it again after everything we'd been through. And then we shot a video after that with the other guy, Eric, you know, like, and you know, just because everybody's involved in one way or another. But we've been joking internally. We're like, dude, at a certain point, like, I don't know who the drummer of In the Meantime is, so we really got to figure this out, like, you know. And we're kind of, now that things are kind of coming back to some sense of normal, we've got, it's starting to kind of shake out, and then we're just gonna look forward. And we're writing the new record, and we're doing Pusa Fest in May.
Oh, nice. Up in Montreal.
You guys ever done that one?
No, we haven't been able to. Yeah.
Well, if you ever do, and you need to crash in Boston, dude,
you know,
hit me up. You know, you've got friends in Boston, dude. Like, half of this podcast guests have been from Boston.
It's true. Yeah. And that's where my dad's family's from. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Soft spot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I think I remember you mentioning that to me when we met. Now that you bring that up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah. Pusa Fest is a fun one, dude. You guys, if you're going to be touring next year, maybe that's a fun one to hit.
Yeah, we've played close to Montreal. I forgot where, like, Ottawa. I think that's close to, yeah, so we played Ottawa. That's as close as we got to French Canada.
Ottawa's a nice little town, but the scene in Montreal is a lot more robust.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, and that festival is really supportive. They have a lot of pride about it, as they should, but they're, you know, showing, I think they like to show what they've got through a scene in French Canada, you know? So there's a vibe there, and it's really supportive, and it's great, man. Like, it's May is Pusa and October is the fest, and you've got, you know, the people that work both are so, like, it just kind of feels very similar, where you feel like the festival really loves what they're doing and is like behind the bands and like behind the community.
Yeah.
And to have one event like that is a blessing, and to have two kind of anchoring the season is pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder where if somebody's going to try a third one somewhere else. I don't know.
I mean, this is so that, you know, talk is cheap, and who knows, maybe in a bunch of different cities this kind of conversation has gone on, but there's been talks about doing something smaller than both of those for sure in Boston, because there's a couple like great like venues for the bands that like are in our scene that are all walking distance.
Oh yeah.
So there's been some rumblings, and we've got a number of great promoters here, and you're familiar with a few of them.
Oh yeah.
We've got a supportive scene here, dude. Like, I think Boston's the right size of city where it's like, it's big enough that there's a lot of activity and there's a lot going on, and it's not big enough that everybody's stopped giving a shit. You know?
Right.
It's some of these towns, dude, it's tough. It's just so saturated. But
that's true, man.
We're in that like Chicago pocket, you know, like Chicago's a bigger city than us, but I feel like it's very similar where like, you know, neither of us are New York or Los Angeles.
Yeah.
You know, so, but we're big cities. Chicago is even bigger than Boston, but like, it's like we still have that pride. Like we want to show like, hey, we're here too.
Right. Know? Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely is Hong Kong the worst staircase you've ever had to experience playing a show?
Like actually playing a show?
Yeah.
Because we just shot our video, and the whole video was shot in this like big industrial building in Worcester, and the guy did an unbelievable job, and he had a whole crew, and they were scouting locations. Dude, that video was wild, dude. Like we were so tertiary to that operation, like it was absurd. But I'm getting off track here, but they did such a great job, and it was funny. Like we were at home, we were done, and like people were like still shooting scenes for it, and I was like in bed with my girlfriend, like for this in the meantime video. Like,
man.
What do you know? Like,
you're the star, yeah.
Yeah, I guess so, dude.
The artist.
Like dude, we had to bring, and we needed to bring the PA too because we needed it for playback for the video. It was up 5 stories.
Ooh.
No elevator, and it was like an industrial unfinished warehouse type building. So the staircases were just straight up like plank carpenter stairs where like I'm carrying the amps and the cabs, and like you're looking down 5 stories through. Like I know all staircases are that, but like when it just seeing it, there's an additional level of oh my god.
Yeah.
So that was. It's funny, man. In 20 years of DIY music, that was the worst staircase I ever encountered.
Oh, it's all good, man. Okay, so you're talking about the 5 flights of industrial staircasing.
Yeah, that I could see to the bottom on.
So was it like how like these weren't permanent stairs? These are like construction worker had like thrown these together stairs.
So yes, but I think yes and no. Those are the stairs, the ones you're picturing with that description. Those are them.
Yeah.
But I do think they're permanent because I think that's all they're using this building for now.
Okay.
It has all these different rooms. So so we had to show up at 8 a.m. for load-in. We loaded in, and these guys were super pro, dude. So like our bass player is IATSE. It's like the international actor stage theater union. Like he's a union worker who like builds equipment that they shoot movies and TV on.
Oh, okay.
So like the people who do that, like film crew, like they're unionized, and there's a couple different ones, and he's in that one. So I mean, he's worked on like crazy stuff, dude, like real movies and whatnot, because they shoot a lot of stuff in Boston and in the Boston area now. Yeah. Like even not the next
The Departed. I know that one.
Genre movie. Yeah, like
The Town.
Besides those ones. Yeah, real. Like, you know, the ones that keep the Dropkick Murphys relevant or whatever. I'm just kidding. Those dudes are I'm not the biggest fan of their music, but they are around in the community and doing good things.
That's
so.
Yeah, at least they walk the walk too instead of
like I've never seen them at like a club show that like DIY bands play, but
they're also like in their 50s, so
But they do a lot of charity work. They're around, dude. Like, I have respect for those guys, but it's fun to dunk on them because, dude, like, why not? It took off and people like it, but at this point, it's kind of like a circus. It's a thing, you know, like it's a spectacle. How's that?
Yeah,
it's cool though. Like, people have paid attention to the Boston music scene partially because of them, and
yeah, for sure.
I don't have any bad things to say about them.
Yeah, they're one of them, like Minor Threat and Rancid were like my gateway punk bands, I guess. Yeah, I remember my brother had their live St. Patrick's Day live album from like, I don't know, fucking 2002 or 3 or maybe even, I can't remember, or 2000 even. But
yeah, dude, they're an institution, and like they're like people. They're the band that really broke out. Like, you could almost make a case that they're sort of mainstream. You know, like to like people know who they are, whether they're into like punk or not. You know, and that's good for musicians in Boston. That's a good thing.
Yeah,
you know, like I've never understood this idea that like, you know, someone from a scene breaks out and like we're all salty about it. Like, I'm very much like a rising tide raises all boats kind of.
Oh yeah, no man. People, I don't know. People get jealous and they're just like, these fucking, you know, I don't know.
There's a funny thing too where it's like they're almost jealous more of the people who now know him or them that they think like shouldn't have the right to because they didn't know about him before.
Oh yeah,
there's that whole thing. Like once it's not yours anymore, it kind of takes away from your ability to have that be tied in with like who you are. Like, you're a guy who's in the underground shit, or girl, you know, and you're in the like the scene and the underground stuff, and now like you're hearing it in Starbucks, and you're like, well, these fucking people weren't there at the Rat in 1987 when I, you know, there's those, but dude, whatever, man. And like, you know, I'm not going to pretend that I've never been guilty of that in my life in my younger years, but I'm so not like that, and I think that it's anything that has people looking at us is a good thing.
Right, man.
You know, I feel the same way. There was kind of talk like that, like when the Interrupters blew up. You know, like, okay, like, oh, you know, they were playing the Interrupters in between periods at the Bruins game, but like, you know, who goes to a show or whatever? And it's like, dude, if the whole mainstream starts getting into like punk and ska music, that's a good thing.
Right, yeah.
You know, like, you don't like that they listen to like Bruno Mars or whatever it is. You complain that people only listen to what's on the radio, then like some punk rock ends up on the radio and you're going to complain about that too. Like, maybe it'll make people get interested in bands like ours, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Perhaps.
Yeah. It's like,
I don't know. I can't be negative about anything like that anymore, you know? Like, it's music, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like anytime there's something remotely like punk rock, I don't know, and now people are upset with like Machine Gun Kelly. Do you keep up with, you know what I'm talking about?
I'm familiar with the trend.
Yeah,
I can't say that like I know a lot about him and his career, but I know that like he's kind of doing pop punk.
Yeah.
And like kids are into it, and only sometimes is there a band.
Yeah.
But I kind of like, dude, like if a bunch of kids get into pop punk of whatever kind, like, great.
Yeah.
You know, as long as, and I don't know enough about Machine Gun Kelly to speak to this, but as long as I feel like the music's authentic, you know?
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't care if it's different than what I'm used to. Like, okay, so he plays solo without, or I don't know about him, but some of these guys he works with, it's like, it's punk rock, but it's like backing tracks and they're singing over it and stuff. And some people have bent out of shape because it's like, oh, there's not even a band. It's like, well, dude, these kids are 19 years old. Like, it's not for us.
Yeah, they don't care. They don't give a shit.
So great. So young kids are into, like, rock music and whatever. Like, that's awesome. I think that's awesome. Yeah. As long as he's not just, like, doing a color by number, make your own pop punk song. As long as he's, like, you know, it's real music. Because that's, dude, it's like when you go on tour and you play with bands that turn out to not really be punk bands. And some people are like, oh, it's a weird show. Like, the other two bands were kind of like, whatever, pick your genre. It's like, dude, like, they're doing a different thing. Like, that's cool, you know? Yeah. Like, it doesn't need to be, here's people playing music and here's other people interested in music. Like, it doesn't need to be just the thing I like or the thing I think we're supposed to be doing. Like I'm all for it. Like the community, just, that's my feeling on it. Like, he's big. If you're going to complain about Machine Gun Kelly and pop punk being popular, like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
From one pop punk music artist to another.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I feel similar. It's like, cause, what do I care? It's, Machine Gun Kelly isn't going to listen to this podcast and be like, you know what? Even if we were like ragging on him or whatever, it's like,
yeah. And you know what? If someone feels that way and wants to like rag on the whole thing, that's their right. I'm not going to tell them they shouldn't feel that way. It's just, dude, life gives you so much bullshit. I can't make my own on top of it. Like, like I just want to like what you're doing, dude. Like, you're putting in your time. You're doing this podcast. Like, we're making music. It's all because we love it. And like when we go on tour or go to shows, like you see other people that are also making music, and we're making friends and building community. And people come out and drink some beers or don't and listen to some music, and hopefully like it's just making everything better for everyone. So as far as the music goes and the scene goes, like I really only want to talk about things that builds us up and builds each other up. I don't want to talk about what I don't like about fucking Machine Gun Kelly, dude. Like, I think, dude, like if pop punk becomes massive, that's good for all of us. Yeah, it's good for all of us. Yeah.
I think you're right.
Great. So Eric works on movies.
Oh, right.
No, I can tell you're like me, dude. Like, I love it. Like, it's just,
Well, when I feel like a thread, like there's something to a thread of a thought or whatever, then let's just go there. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, but to put a bow on that, a guy he worked with wanted to do the video for us.
Okay.
So he was like, I heard your record. I like this song. And, I want, would you guys want to do a video? And we were like, yeah, sure. And then like when we showed up, it was like super, super pro. And there were like gaffers and like a crew of like 20 or whatever. And there was like Dunkin' Donuts catering and sandwiches and shit. And we're like, this is fucking wild, dude. And then why I brought this up is because 8 a.m. load-in up to 5 flights. We shot up there for like 2 to 3 hours. And then all the next shots were like a nightclub, rock club scene.
Yeah.
In the basement.
So
we loaded up to 5. That's the only reason why I wanted to get to this point of the story, was like we loaded up to 5 flights, played for like an hour and a half up there, and then loaded down into the basement of the building like right after. And it was like, and we were, you know what? We were happy to do it.
Yeah, man.
Because we had a great opportunity and the video came out cool. But yeah, so that and the Hong Kong are the staircases that I have nightmares about. When we did that show with you at the Hong Kong, we were acoustic that night, right?
Yeah,
do you remember?
Yeah, you were acoustic.
So it's funny you asked, because I didn't remember this until you asked, but I sprained my ankle that night going down those stairs.
Just being no gear, just acoustic guitar.
I kind of buried the lead, huh? You're like, is that the worst staircase? My answer should have been, yes, I sprained my ankle that night that you're talking about at that venue on the show we played together. I was like, here's all this other bullshit about Dropkick Murphys and fucking IATSE Union. Also, I sprained my ankle. Yeah. Yeah. That place, I don't think they're doing shows anymore.
Yeah.
But Daniel Coswell, the one who booked us on that show from Rebuilder, he's back doing his other room, Charlie's Kitchen, and also up a flight of stairs, but just one. And
that's good.
And he's got that going again, and that's a great night. That's a Monday night he's been doing for a number of years. So touring bands, if you're coming through Boston, hit up Daniel Coswell. And play Charlie's Kitchen. That's where you want to be. Get your Monday night filled out, and it'll be a good show.
Yeah, that's. I remember whenever I was talking to him about setting up that show that we play with y'all. I was trying to do a Charlie's on a Monday, and he was like, that one's full, so.
Yeah, that's the only night they do them. They only do them Mondays.
Yeah.
So if you're coming in on a different night, there's plenty of rooms to play. But, I mean, dude, like touring, knowing that your Monday night is going to be good is a luxury.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the one, like Monday through Wednesday, it's like, could be cool, might not be. Either way,
Terrible.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
And then, but knowing you got Monday, that's a good thing.
Yeah. So is Charlie's Kitchen, is that, where's that, I guess?
It's around the corner from the Hong Kong.
Oh, okay. So it's in Cambridge still?
It's Cambridge.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like walking distance, dude. Like, Harvard Square.
Nice.
And that place has been there forever. So they just have people come by and drink at the bar. And they're like, $5? I'll check out some bands. Like, so they've got a little bit of a built-in kind of walk-in thing. And Harvard Square has, like, my first exposure to punks when I was a little kid was like Harvard Square's, Harvard's there. So it's, there's college kids and stuff.
Yeah.
And my father used to take me down there when I was a kid. And, like, it's very left-wing, liberal.
Yeah.
All the things everyone's afraid of. The university elites, grooming us all.
Right.
That's the vibe down there, dude. So there was always street performers, like, and there was this little area, this subway station where, like, all the punks would hang out. And that was like, I'm like 5 years old at this point. So that's like, they look like fucking Bebop and Rocksteady from the Ninja Turtles. You know what I mean? Like, it's those kind of punks, like 80s dudes with, like, pink mohawks and leather jackets. And I'm like, this is fucking awesome. But, and so there's, like, a history around there of, like, punk rock and, like, the communist bookstore is there and stuff.
Okay.
So if people walk into Charlie's Kitchen not knowing that there's a show and then they go up there for $5, like, punk rock's not going to bum them out.
Right. Yeah. I could see that. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I'm actually really curious about, like, your scene, in Mobile. Like, you guys are there, and I know you tour, and, like, I know they got a lot going on in New Orleans and in Florida, but do you guys have to travel to do, like, the punk shows, or do you guys have a little scene there?
There's a little bit of a scene here. It's kind of weird though sometimes, just because I don't know. I don't always have my ear to the street with new bands and stuff. So I try to, but there's a good handful of, like, newer bands here, so it's not too tough to get shows booked. And usually when we play here, it's pretty nice. People will come out. But yeah, like, touring bands, like, will just kind of skip, like, medium to bigger ones will just, like, skip over this area. They'll go from, like, Austin to Orlando or something, So it's tough getting, like, bigger people here, I guess.
Even like Handsome Scoundrels, like, do you guys do, like, 4 to 5 shows in Mobile throughout the year? Like,
yeah, during, like, a normal year. Well, yeah.
Well, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And this and is it like there's other punk bands you play with and stuff, and, like,
yeah, kind of, I guess the straight up, like, punk bands, it's kind of more there's not a lot of punk bands, I guess. It's more like indie hard rock, right, I guess, right. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Hey, man, it's like I was saying before, dude. Yeah. Like, it's all DIY music, but there's music there, and there's bands to play with. And, like, dude, what you guys do is timeless.
Yeah.
Like, no, you guys will never bum out anyone that's into, like, any sort of subgenre of punk rock. I think.
Thanks, man.
Maybe there are just, like, a few people that are just like, okay, like, this thing, like, I've heard that. I'm over it.
Yeah.
But I think that's a very small slice. I think everyone's always pumped to see, like, that, like, old school, like, Lookout record sound in 3-piece.
Thanks, man.
Like, when you're at a show especially, dude, like, you feel like you know the songs, even if you've never heard the band before,
Yeah. I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, dude, like, it's cool. I don't ever want to live in a world where there's not bands like the Handsome Scoundrels still doing it.
Yeah. Man. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun down here. And like you said, there's, like, New Orleans, which is cool. Have y'all played in New Orleans before?
We've not made it to New Orleans. We've done the coast, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
We've done the Midwest. We've got, out to Chicago and everywhere in between. But like south, once you're west of 95, we're a little thin on. We've done Tallahassee.
Okay.
So like we've got off 95.
Yeah.
But,
you hit I-10. Yeah.
What's that?
You hit I-10.
Yeah. We did I-10. Crossing Florida. We did Tallahassee. We've done Canada a few times. Yeah. Like not all of it, but like Toronto up to. Well, actually, we've gone quite a ways up north into Quebec.
Really? How was that?
Well, we've got that Lost Love connection,
Yeah.
So we've done stuff with them where we go into, dude, those are the best shows. Those are the best. Dude, we owe, me personally and our band, like we owe a lot to Guillaume and Lost Love. I was an original member of Lost Love, actually.
Really?
Yeah. Nice. So in the early days, so In the Meantime was pre-Lost Love. I lived in Montreal from 2010 to 2017.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Or sorry, I lived in Canada for that period. I was in Montreal for 5 years and then Ottawa for 2.
Okay.
Born and raised in Boston. I spent a year in the Bay Area out west. But I moved to Montreal in 2010, July of 2010, and In the Meantime started May of 2010.
Okay.
Was our first show.
Wow.
So now, I don't know about for you guys, but at least where we were, there was like this little dead period of time where like punk rock was like super passe. Okay. It was like, it was big in like the early 2000s and like, and 2004, 2005, 2006, some more of like the really poppy kind of like emo stuff came in, mixed with like a little more of like the resurgence of like the indie and like the post-punk and all that stuff. And there was a period there where like playing punk rock was like really uncool. It was like childish and like, oh yeah, I used to listen to like Lagwagon. Like I used to listen to like that band. Like, Lagwagon's got that album. I think my brother used to listen to Lagwagon.
Yeah.
And that was like 2008-ish that album came out, 12 years ago already, or I guess, more now. And then around 2010, like, so we were in bands before then that kind of sort of ended around that time when I moved out west and came back, and like Steve was like, hey, I've been writing some songs. You want to like play them? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And he went in and did a demo by himself of like 3 songs in the studio. And that's how we got our name, because the engineer was like, so what's the name of the band? And it was just Steve. Okay. He was like, I don't know. Like, I'll have to think of something. And the guy was like, well, in the meantime, I'll just put, and he's like, that's it.
That's it.
So he's like, that's it. So Steve had this demo. So we're kind of, in a weird way, in the meantime, sort of like a super group, we're like 2 different bands ended and we were like, yeah, we're who's left, and, but what was cool about that was, so the early years of In the Meantime, it's like, we were just playing like bars, like in our hometown, like in Peabody and stuff, like not even, we played Boston and stuff, but we weren't looking to do anything. And then I was up in Montreal and like, that's a 5-hour drive and I'd come home and would do a show and whatever, but we had no real aspirations. And then while I was up there, I met Guillaume in Boston, believe it or not. And we realized we both lived in Montreal and were basically neighbors. It's just a weird coincidence.
Yeah.
And Guillaume was looking for a new band. His band was Sack Attack, was his old band. How about that?
Hell yeah.
And him and Vinny, who was the drummer in that band who plays in Lost Love, was looking for a new band. They were getting something together and like asked if I was interested. And I was like, yeah, dude, like, cause I wanted to make friends up there and like be involved in the music scene. So I was on like their first couple recordings, like the EPs and stuff that came out before the first full length. We did the first big tour together. So we were tight. And the first In the Meantime tour, like members of Lost Love couldn't make it. Members of In the Meantime couldn't make it. So the lineup In the Meantime was me and Steve. Our buddy Sal from Brooklyn came up and played drums on that tour. Yeah. And Guillaume played bass.
Nice.
And then it would switch to Lost Love and me and Guillaume would like do a 360 and like Steve and Sal would walk off and like Vinny and Mark would walk on. And it was like, now we're Lost Love. So that's what But dude, that's what you got to do. Like once, and Guillaume was a little tied in because of like, Pooza Fest had started and was growing, and he was involved in that. And like Hugo Moody, who runs that festival, who sang in St. Catharines, was like kind of supporting everybody in that scene. And it opened my eyes to the fact that like there was kind of like a regrowing DIY scene for punk rock.
Yeah.
Like the emo stuff was kind of phasing out, and all these bands that like I was uncool for listening to, all of a sudden they were like popular again. Like, oh, these guys are legends. And it's like, okay, like it's kind of like we were talking about before, dude. Like, am I going to get upset? Like, I had another friend who I won't name who was like, yeah, dude, like everyone's acting like Lagwagon's their favorite band. Like, you know, I was like lame for listening to Lag. I'm like, dude, who cares? Like the kind of music we play is popular again. Like, let's enjoy it. You know, like so Guillaume kind of opened my eyes to the fact that there was like you could still do it. Wow. And then since then we've just been running. Like, let's do everything we can. Yeah. And you know, so then that means I quit working in an office and ruined my life financially, and I've never been happier, you know? Damn, man. Just playing music and I toured with those guys a couple more times. My first fest was filling in on a tour with Lost Love. Nice. Yeah, so I owe a lot to those dudes, and you know, they're good friends. And yeah, I think Lost Love's got a new album out. Go check them out. As long as I'm pumping everyone's tires today, you know. Yeah, man. Yeah, I got the new Lost Love album, Empathy.
Yeah, I had Guillaume on, I don't know, 2 months ago, something like that, on the show.
Yeah, I watched that one because, like I said, I'm like, this guy's got to tell people, dude. Like, I didn't even know, you know. So he's not doing the legwork for you.
Damn, Mike. Dude, Guillaume. I remember, whenever I sent him like, okay, here's the episode. I also sent him a message like, sometimes I'll just put like Poppy, like P-A-P-I in there. And he was like, I guess it's lost in translation. I guess in French that means grandfather, or like, it's like, you know, so it was funny.
He's, I love talking with him about language. You know, for anyone who doesn't know, we're talking about a guy who's bilingual, speaks English excellently, but has an accent. His first language is French. And something just a couple of years ago, a really funny language story came up telling my girlfriend about. When we were doing that, in the meantime, Lost Love tour, this was like 2013. I mean, I was living in Montreal, and I was trying to, you know, improve my French, learn French as much as I could. And Guillaume was, you know, could speak English well, but he's the kind of guy who it's not good enough for him to like get his point across. He's really interested in like the linguistics and like, why does this word work? And like, he had a huge problem with this versus that. Why is it like that CD, that song, this song, like that plays? Okay. Right? So he'd like want to know and would try to like parse it, and he'd ask me questions, and I'd be like, you know what, dude, like I don't get an answer. It just sounds right. Right. But we were in the van, and I'll never forget this. It was so funny. Steve was talking about something, and he used the phrase, "This too shall pass," you know, which is like, hey, if you're on tough times, however bad it feels, like this too shall pass. And Guillaume just goes, huh. Oh, okay. That's what that phrase means. And we're like, why? What did you think it means? He's like, I always thought it was like something if, you know, you want something, but you don't get that thing, but you get something that it's also pretty good, you know, like, oh, this pizza is not the pizza that I wanted. This too shall pass.
Like, this will be okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And we're like, dude, that's the greatest thing I've ever heard. So now, like, sometimes we'll just like, hey, how's like, you know, your burger? Oh, this too shall pass.
That's pretty great.
Yeah, he's a good dude. We have fun with those dudes.
Yeah. You know? Oh man, and he was telling me that like his solo stuff, he's got some things set up where it's like his songs are in grocery stores and stuff like that. It's like, that's wild. I mean,
I'm sure you talked. I can't remember. I mean, I did watch that episode, but I don't remember the exact conversation. But I'm sure he mentioned like, in Canada, they want to promote Canadian art and music. Yeah. And in Quebec, especially to preserve the French language, they want to promote French language music. And I always tell him, because, like, you know, I learned things about what they do. And, like, there was a tour to Europe that I couldn't go on because they were all getting grants from the government. And, like, I'm not a citizen, so they wouldn't have had the grant if I was in the lineup. Like, stuff.
Oh,
they paid them, like, because the government's paying them to go abroad and, like, promote Quebecois culture in Europe. And I always tell them, like, dude, like, you don't understand how bonkers that sounds to us
wild.
in America.
Yeah.
Can you imagine, like, the state of Alabama, like, giving you guys a grant so the handsome scoundrels could go fucking drink beer across the country and play punk rock? Like, no fucking way. No fucking way.
Right. No. Yeah.
And I live in the glorious Commonwealth of Massachusetts, where we're all like communist pinko liberals, and we're not getting money, you know.
Right.
Not to travel and play punk rock across to spread the word across the lands, you know.
Yeah.
Make it be known.
Yeah.
Quebecois are playing punk rock. Here we are, Swiss people.
God, dude. Yeah, that's pretty
fucking
wild.
Cool, dude.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
I've heard of some like friends from like Toronto, like doing stuff for the government or whatever, getting a grant, or I'm just like that would never happen. Like you said,
money's available. Right. They make it available. Yeah. You know, they think they prioritize that culture. Believe it or not.
Yeah.
But hey, you know, what did I say? I don't want to hate. I want to be positive, right?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. No.
So then what do they do? They make festivals that we can come and play.
Yeah. No, man. You know, if it's so much better when I'm able to like almost max out a credit card, because I like feel it's like more. I've earned it. You know.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, we just. It's funny, dude, because like I've had a wide breadth of touring experiences, because like. You know, I've done like a little bit of tour managing too. Like, you know, I've been out. I owe these guys a lot of thanks too. The guys in Make War, you know that band?
Oh yeah,
so I go out on tour with them a lot. Yeah. They're a Brooklyn band, and I've tour managed for them on a number of tours. And like, I'm not like a tour manager dude. Like I'm a performer at heart, and you know, like I said before, you need everybody in the scene, and tour managers are important, but I never had aspirations to do that. But I met those guys when I was out on the road with another band, and they needed someone, and we got along, and they asked me to do it. And I was like, guys, like, I have no experience doing that, to be honest. But like, if you think I'm the guy, like, sure, let's try it. And we got along, and I go with them because like, it's like friends, dude. Like, it's not, they treat me good. And I wouldn't want to do it if it wasn't fun and if it didn't feel like we were like equals, you know, like I don't want to be like an employee for a band, dude. Like, cause to tell you the truth, as much as I love them, when I'm on tour with them, every night I watch them set up, sound check, fucking play a ripping set at a cool venue. And I'm like, fuck man, like that's what I want to be doing.
Yeah,
like I'm happy. I'm thrilled to be helping them out and to be part of this and to like sell their merch and like do everything I can to make them have the best tour and grow their band. But like, that's what I want to be doing.
Right.
So if I didn't like them and they weren't cool, like it would be torture to like do that for someone else who I didn't respect and believe in, you know?
Yeah.
But, you know, through doing that, dude, that's this world, man. Like it's networking. It's like through doing that, all the people I've met and friends, dude, like, it's not like, what can they do for me? It's like, now it's just a cool community we've got. And the more I'm out there, the more of it I get to meet and interact with and have fun with. And like, you know, like you maxed out your credit card, like you were saying, dude, but like, it's not like for nothing.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh
like
yeah. I know. Yeah.
You're investing in like doing what makes you happy in life.
Right.
You know?
For sure. Absolutely.
Awesome, dude. Like me, dude, what's the chances you and I meet each other if it weren't for the fact that we both like playing 3-chord songs with catchy melodies, you know?
Yeah, not high. Yeah.
No. And this is awesome, dude. Like, so, yeah, dude, like, and I hope that maybe I have to think about this more and try to do it more actively. But like, I'm sitting here thinking about all the people that have helped me do so many things that I feel like are accomplishments or that made me happy. I hope that I can do that, you know, that people can come say, oh yeah, Dan helped me out with that. Or like in the meantime, like, yeah, they're good guys. Like they helped us when we, you know, and I'm so glad I met those guys, you know? So I just try to take that kind of mentality to it, dude. Like it's hard, dude, because like, and in Boston too, like the scene here is really supportive, but it's also really competitive. And that it's because there's a lot of great bands here and a lot of great promoters and a lot of good venues. And as much as we all want to help each other, sometimes a cool tour comes to town. We all want that spot.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And that's okay, dude, right? And like that's how it should be. Of course we all want it. And I think it's easy sometimes to forget that, like, yes, especially when it's tangible and right there, like it seems really important to get that thing or to get that make that thing happen. And I'm not saying it's not. I'm not trying to downplay that, but like when a couple years go by, people will remember the good experiences they had with you more than like the show.
Yeah.
You know, like if we play a cool show, but we step on someone along the way to get there, like what do you think's going to be remembered? Right. Like,
yeah.
Good for everyone. The rising tide, right?
That's right, man. Yeah, that's true. It's especially in our world of punk rock. Yeah, if somebody screws you and you're just like, for what? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like it's not usually as overt as that. It's not like, I don't know, like, at least in my experience or in our scene, like I've heard horror stories, like, you know, some people I know who are just kind of tied into the scene in a lot of different ways, and I don't want to drag their names into it. Like they have these stories that I just can't believe are true because they're so nightmarish. You know, like I can't believe that like that's a thing that like if you hadn't told me and I didn't know you, I don't think I could believe this story in a vacuum because it sounds so horrible. Like who would do that? Like money or just like promises or whatever.
Yeah.
But I find this stuff is more like, I mean, dude, you know how it is. Like, there's a lot of really great people, but there's a lot of pretending. You know, I don't like how much like perceived coolness comes into the equation in our scene. I don't like when people talk about punishers. That kind, you know, I don't. Maybe I am one and I don't know it, but like, regardless, dude, like, there's not a ton of money in this game, dude. And if someone is such a big fan that it upsets you for 5 minutes because you get trapped in a conversation. And, dude, I work the merch table for a touring band on Fat. I know how tough it can be.
Yeah.
I buffer that, you know, like, but, dude, I will never put myself above someone else that way, like insult someone for their passion or like, God forbid, like, you know, a lot of times those people have fucking problems, dude. They're like drunks or like, they're down and like this is their biggest night. They're seeing one of their favorite bands, and maybe they're a little over the top or too much. But like, I feel like when people talk about punishers, it's like they're putting themselves like above those people.
Yeah,
and it's like those are the people that buy the shit, dude. Buy the tickets. Like, that's where the money comes from, dude. So like, I don't like that. I don't like that people feel like they can't call someone out when they're douches just because like they're fucking big dogs or something.
Yeah,
you know? Like, I don't know.
Status or whatever.
People are just so wary to like, you know, and you know, maybe I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth because when I say call people out, you know, earlier I'm talking about how I want to be positive. Now I'm like, you know, you should call people out for being a dick. It's like maybe more what I mean is just like we're all there's just some that's the stuff I see more rather than someone totally screwing you or whatever.
Yeah,
I see more of just kind of like, if someone isn't cool or they can't do something for you, people can have a tendency to kind of like ignore them or dismiss them.
Sure.
And not necessarily on purpose, but it's just none of us in this scene, except for maybe like 1% of the 1%, are big enough that they're not all reliant on everyone else in the scene.
Right. Yeah.
That's it. So it's like those are the things that I see that are a little unfortunate, you know. So we try to leave a good wake, you know.
Damn. Yeah. Those are good. Do you have? I don't know. I was gonna ask you if you have any closing words, but that was pretty good.
Well, if you ask me if I got a couple words, dude, you're gonna get a few more than a couple. I mean, I don't know if you figured that out.
Oh, man,
no, I do like this theme to leave it on, but let me end it on a positive note and just say, like, with that in mind, I'm glad, dude. This is almost like a therapy session. Like, where do I got to send my copay? You know,
hey,
like,
man, I'll send you an itemized statement. You know.
Yeah, dude. You think my beautifully socialized Massachusetts insurance do you take it, or is it too?
Sure, it's too social for me. For Alabama, it's too social.
Yeah, dude. Thank God for that. But yeah, it's like through talking to you and saying, like, you know, you can think about these things in your head, but I'm saying them to another person out loud. I hear my own voice. I hear what I'm saying. Like, I'm gonna pledge to try to like remember to be that way.
Yeah.
You know, like, remember what I'm here for, like, to play music, to make friends, and if, you know, hopefully help each other out. Like, I'm grateful for a lot of people that have helped me out and have helped us out.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try to have when people think of me, hopefully that's the ways I'm going to try to act so that hopefully that's what they come away with.
Hell yeah. That's good. I like that. That's a good,
Thanks, dude.
good attitude. Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Dan, you had options, but you decided to talk to me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Can I end on one thing?
Yeah, and
because I forgot. I've had so much fun talking to you. I forgot to say what we got going on.
Oh yeah, plug whatever you want to plug.
So in the meantime, Instagram at @meantime is going to be the best way to find stuff. We have a link to our Bandcamp with music and merch on there. Going to be at Pooza Fest in May. We've got a new video on YouTube. In the meantime, it's too generic of a term, so we named the song You're the Worst, because that's not at all generic of a term. So search for In the Meantime, You're the Worst if you're interested in checking out a new video from us. And I'm good. Thank you so much for letting me blow hot air out of my face for however long I did that for.